Hi, this is Brian. I can't believe what's actually happening in Wellington at the moment. I've been at council this morning and we had a briefing, and uh, it's quite obvious to me that the New Zealand Transport Authority has almost no cognizance of the significance of peak oil. And I say that because they are continuing with these roading programs. And this morning I put to the representatives of the N.Z.T.A that did they take any notice of the International Energy Agency's reports? Because uh, Energy Agency has actually been talking about peak oil, and some time back they said, look, this is an issue into the future, maybe 2020 or 30, but actually they've now revised their position on it, which is really good in one sense, but are so sad in another because they're now saying that the global oil supply peaked at 2006. So we're actually now in, according to the according to the International Energy Agency, we're actually in post-peak oil, 2011, and this is 5 years after they identified the peak in 2006. That is to say that the production of the world's oil supply was then peaking, and since then the demand has totally outstripped the ability to produce, the world's ability to produce. So this is like really, really serious stuff. And actually, what it says is that we're not going to have abundant oil for much longer. There's going to be, first of all, pricing and price escalation, and then there will be scarcity. Because regardless of a price, I think that once you're on the downward slope, the problem of depletion is moving so much quicker. The consequences of having to shift from one form of energy to another in an unprepared state are just absolutely horrendous. And yet, that's the situation that we're going to be in. We have had plenty of warning that this is coming, and yet we're actually tenaciously clinging to. And I have to say that it's very difficult to make these kinds of mode shifts, particularly when you have strong habitual behaviour. And I'm not denying that I myself actually am a carbon burner. I mean, I use cars. I did switch from bigger cars to very small cars. In fact, I've got nothing over 1300 cc's in the vehicles that I use. But and then also being quite a committed motorcyclist, that's nowhere near the kind of energy demand, of course, that a motor car has. But even so, we bought bicycles. We have bicycles. We use bicycles, and whenever we can. But the problem is that when you get the opportunity to spend money, you shouldn't be using that money on existing infrastructure. We should be looking towards light rail and investing in such a way that it's going to be the kind of transport which will be less energy intensive as private motor vehicle use and so forth. So anyway, it's quite obvious that the capital here, Wellington, of New Zealand, is completely locked into the paradigm of last century. And it doesn't look like under the current regime there will be any change, which is tragic and sad. We One thing about the situation of space is that we don't have any more space to spread out and do ribbon developments and so forth. And in the same way, our energy supply is not being replenished, and so we ought to be incredibly careful about how it's used. It's almost a hopeless situation because as I look around and see people coming with their motor vehicles, one person per car, into the city day after day, it's just sort of tragic because what will happen is that the crisis will just come abruptly. without any preparation, and we'll have what is termed a hard landing, which is just bad. I mean, it's no way that you that you want to do that, and yet it's going to happen. We're going to have a hard landing on energy. The energy bank is depleting. We're still in recession dash depression, and the irony is that the boosters and the promoters, are confusing. And I noticed that I was reading the Guardian Weekly, and the business secretary was actually accusing politicians in the UK of not coming clean about how bad it's going to be. Look, even in this country, you can see there's just so much unemployment taking place, firms closing down. And with the extra difficulties of natural disasters, for example, Christchurch situation, our resources are going to be sucked away to, in some way, try and cope with that situation. So the whole idea of expanding infrastructure along the lines of an old way of doing things is just absolute nonsense, and yet it's taking place. One councillor turned to me this morning and said, we're effed. And Wellington, in the peculiar situation that the politicians of the country probably don't rely on the support of Wellington, because we do tend to be a little bit sort of to the left, centre left, and we Wellingtonians are educated and aware of major problems, and yet the politics that's taking place now is pandering to car use in a perverse way, because the roading changes that are proposed for Wellington are going to cut into the town belt, precious town belt that we have. Homes are going to be flattened. And they're talking about increased numbers of motor vehicles on the road, which is actually just crazy, because with the energy bank running dry, it's just not going to happen. And they shouldn't be preparing on those figures. It's just crazy stuff. So anyway, there you are. This is 29th of June, and this my thoughts on the current situation facing Wellington City and the community of Wellington City. And tragically, the people that are doing the numbers and the analysis and the N.Z.T.A are totally stuck back into the last century. Okay, we'll leave it there.